Yesterday, we should have learned all about color and the color wheels and the basic properties of color. So next we're going to move into what color schemes are. And again, this is super important for design. And you have to know these things in order to make appealing projects as we move forward. So make sure you have your note guide pulled up and we're going to get going. All right, so make sure that note guide's pulled up and we're going to talk about color schemes. Okay, so when we say color schemes, what we're talking about is the choice of colors used in various artistic and design contexts, and they're used to make things appealing. Okay, so you use color schemes in order to decide which colors work best together. And so you can have analogous colors. And so these are going to be colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel and have similar hues. So like anything in this realm would look right together because they're analogous. Okay, so pink, magenta, and violet, these would all go well together, or even magenta, violet, and blue. So if they're right next to each other on the color wheel, then you'll know that they're okay to use together. So it says each color on the color wheel has two analogous colors. And each trio of analogous colors, the primary color is dominant. If there is no primary color, then the secondary color is dominant. And so what that means is, so if we're looking at this right here, your blue is dominant, right? And so then you would probably make this your focal with these two adding into it. But let's say we use these three, right? Then the magenta would be your primary because it's the secondary color. Okay, so these two are the tertiary, so we'd focus on magenta more, if that makes sense. You also have complementary colors, and so these are going to be opposite each other on the color wheel, and they are mostly used to show contrast. Okay, so like you can see over here, red and blue, or red and cyan, excuse me, would be complementary colors, and you'd use those to show drastic changes. So anything that is opposite each other in the color wheel, excuse me, I'm getting ahead of myself, is a complementary color. And so it says mixing two complementary colors in equal proportions causes them to cancel each other out, with the end result being a neutral gray color. So if I mixed red and cyan together, eventually we would just get a neutral color. So you don't really mix them, you use them opposite each other to make like a big statement. And then you have split complementary colors. And so this is going to be a color scheme using one base color and two secondary colors. Okay, so if you look over here at the example, we're saying that this is the base color, and then you go to the complementary, and then you split it, right? So pink and orange would be the split complementaries of cyan because I look directly across, and then I picked two on the other side. So another example of that would be I went to blue, its complementary color is yellow, but a split complementary would be orange and light green. So you go to the two next to your complementary color to make a split color. You can see that here again. You've got your light blue, straight across would be its complementary, making pink and orange the split complementary. So it says same strong visual contrast as the complementary color scheme, but it's got a little bit less tension, meaning that it's just a little bit softer and not as drastic. And then you have triadic colors, and so these are going to be evenly spaced around the color wheel. So you start with one, again, you got here, and then I went two up to get violet and two up to get light green. And so you could do the same thing here, cyan. You went three up to get to magenta, and when you went three up to get to yellow. So it just, wherever you start, you have to evenly space it out, okay? So it says these tend to be quite vibrant, even if you use pale or unsaturated versions of your hues. So as you can see here, if I use cyan, violet, and light green, that would be pretty bold and out there still, even though that those colors are just a little less intense as some other ones on the wheel. And then you have tetradic, okay? And so this is four corners arranged into two complementary pairs. And so what this means is you've got cyan and red, right, which are directly across, and then you've got blue and yellow, which are directly across. And so you can make your box however you want, but you're using two complementary sets. So if we did turquoise and pink, right, and then you could move to violet and light green. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter how your square is set up as long as you're using two sets of complementary colors. And this says it works best if you let one color be dominant. So out of all of these, I might pick blue and then base other colors around it. And then you have your perfect square, okay? And so it says it's similar to the rectangle, but with all 4 colors spaced evenly around the color circles. So again, these are using complementary colors, but instead of a rectangle, it's a square. So I still evened it out perfectly, only going up 2 notches each time. Again, and so you can move that. You can move your square wherever you want. You just make sure that you're using complementary colors across from each other. It says works best, again, if you let one color be dominant. So here's some examples down here. I might pick red, right? It feels pretty dominant, and then I pick everything around it. And so the other important thing to note is that colors have temperature. So you can have warm colors, which is generally associated with like energy and action and brightness. And then you have cool colors that give off more of that calm, peace, and serenity vibe. And so when we talk about warm colors, we're saying these colors sit opposite the cool colors on the color wheel, and they include like reds and yellows, and they're often associated with fire in the sun, and they suggest a warm, vibrant environment, and they often appear into the foreground. And so what that means is that they look like they're more at the front of the picture, and I'll kind of give you an example on the next slide when you see it with cool colors, but it's saying that your warm ones almost feel like they sit closer to you. So you can see down here that your warm colors are going to include like your more red, orange, and yellows. And then you have cool colors that sit on the other side of the wheel, and these are going to be more blues and greens, and they're usually associated with water, sky, and plants, and they give off the calm, cool, relaxing environment, and it says they almost feel like they're towards the back. Okay, so these colors are more in the background, and you can see here again up towards the front, towards the back. Okay, and says, so this is going to be at the bottom of your note guide. What 2 parts of the image below contain warm colors? So flip back if you need to see where warm colors are. Which set of colors to the right are analogous? Just answer with the correct letter. And if y'all are giggling at me because I'm not saying analogous or analogous, I really, the country accent doesn't help out much. So flip back to your notes and see what the rules are for analogous. Analogous, I don't know. I should have looked it up probably. Which of the 6 rooms below is likely to appeal to the greatest number of people? So you're going to take a look at these colors in these rooms and tell me which one do you think the most people would probably go for. And then it says, hint, consider how most people feel about the color schemes used in each room. So maybe there's not necessarily a right or a wrong answer there, but there's one that sticks out in particular to me that would be probably your best choice. So that's it. Make sure you fill out your note guide and submit it to Google Classroom.